Hello and welcome to the 90's Mag podcast, your podcast for all things Newcastle United, hosted by two lifelong Newcastle United supporting buddies, myself, D-Man, and my co-host Jefferson. How you doing, bro?
Good, thank you, sir. What's happening? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you too. And before we introduce our guest, I just want to say it's my 12th year anniversary today. So with my missus, happy anniversary to the missus. You know what I mean?
Congratulations.
Yeah, man. 12 years in, still smiling, still surviving, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And we're joined today by the one and only Bulky. How you doing, sir?
Very well, thanks, and thank you very much for the invite. It's great to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you on, man. Pleasure to on. Long time coming. You know, I know you're very vocal in the group chats in regards to Newcastle and that. So we're looking forward to what you've got to say. But yeah, man, got Mighty Mag in the building. Ben,
Big up.
Big up, Predator, big up. Yeah.
Welcome, Chucky. Oh, no.
Oh, no, not again.
You're never going to be able to shake that off, are you?
It starts. Big up Scants in the building as well.
Big up, Scads.
But yeah, big up Mighty Mag for the congratulations there. Appreciate it. But yeah, man, as usual, we're here to talk things Newcastle United. And the Premier League season is now kicked off. We kicked off away to Aston Villa. Early kickoff on the Saturday. And yeah, it finished Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 0. So let's get to the nitty gritty, starting with, as usual, the lineups, because obviously we knew from before that a certain striker from Sweden would not be involved. He who shall not be mentioned. But yeah, any other surprises from the lineup? Start with you, Jefferson.
Not really, because it got leaked before kickoff, didn't it? And I know that we'd given it a go during pre-season. I know Asula had opportunities, but there were a couple of games. I think Gordon played through the middle as well. So, yeah, I think the only one for me that I wasn't too sure about was whether Murphy would start. So when I saw Elanga there, I thought, all right, he's giving him a good go. But other than that, no real surprises in there.
Okay. Adrian, congrats, big up, man. Who did your good lady support? She's a Chelsea fan, unfortunately. So, I won't hold it against her.
Fan of Cole Palmer, is she, D-Man?
Yeah, my son is as well. He's got the bad thing about it is that my in-laws buy him a Chelsea kit as well, and he's now got Cole Palmer on the back. But he's still a Newcastle fan. He's still a Newcastle fan, so it's all good. But big up, Predator, and congrats there. But yeah, the good thing is I do get tickets to see Chelsea play Newcastle at Stamford Bridge. You know, whenever they come to town, so that's good. But yeah, Bulky, any surprise with the lineup yourself?
No, I think the only thing that was whether Howe would be fit enough to play at left back, wasn't it? And obviously he wasn't, which Trips played and Tino at left back isn't really a major issue these days, is it? So
Yeah. I mean, like you, Jefferson, I say a bit surprised, but I thought Murphy would start. I know there was some hope that we'd play the three at the back and Malik Chow would get his debut, but you know, I don't think that was realistic. Scats a disrespect to Murphy. Listen, Eddie just wanted to try something different. You know, and I did mention before he saw how Murphy performed last season at Villa Park, and he thought maybe try something different. So, you know, it's either way. I wasn't mad at the lineup. You know, Bulky, what did you predict going into this game, by the way?
4-1 Villa.
Okay, 4-1 Villa. Jefferson, you remind me what you predicted.
2-1 Villa.
Okay, so you both predicted a Villa win. Okay, I predicted a 1-1 draw. So
okay,
I was right with the result, not the scoreline.
Close enough. Yeah.
So let's start with the positives, right? Because if you both expected a loss, we didn't lose. Yeah. We got a point away from home at Villa Park. We usually get spanked, so that's a positive. Yeah. The other positive, we dominated that first half. We by far the better team in the first half, and you know we looked very comfortable in the first half. We created chances. All right, we didn't take them, but we created chances. You know, players were getting in the right positions, so that's another positive. And they didn't really trouble us at the back as well. And I thought our midfield was so dominant in that first half as well. So positives to take, yeah. Any other positives from yourselves in terms of the first? Any other positives?
I mean, listen, when you go away from home, particularly somewhere like Villa Park, bearing in mind that they finished fifth last season. I could be wrong. I think they've got a little run as well where they're, is it unbeaten in 19 at home or something like that?
Yeah, they had some. Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah.
Think about that. That's kind of a bit tempting, particularly with everything that went on, the whole Isak thing. So I think big up to the players for their mentality that they held firm, they gave it a good go, they stuck together, because they could have easily crumbled and used it as a feeble excuse to chuck away the game. So I respect the players for that. They tried. They did try.
Okay. Bulky, anything?
I think looking at Eddie as the coach, just alone in that role. I know we've all got opinions on other bits that he's doing at the club, but as the coach, it was good to see the players are still playing for him and obviously listening to him in training. Because that first half and even the second half to a certain degree, there was obviously a game plan in place that he'd set up, and they followed that to the letter. So it's good to see the players are that there's no sort of there doesn't seem to be any animosity with any other players. Where it's just obviously the one that we won't discuss that is the issue.
Okay, okay. Big up, Big Yinks and Queen in the building.
Queenie,
Yeah, as
big
they say,
yinks.
hit the likes and that. Keep the likes coming. But all right, so let's get into the game itself because we started brightly, and then the first big opportunity fell to Elanga. Yeah, he's been on a break as well, and it was a good quick break. Great through ball from Tonali. Elanga's been put through. Now, first of all, do you think he should have shot, or do you think he should have squared it to Gordon? Because Gordon was running alongside him. Do you think he took the right decision? I'll start with you, Bulky. Do you think he made the right decision in attempting to shoot?
I think if we want him to score goals, then in that situation he has to shoot. If I think we've criticised players in the past for trying the extra pass, so I would never criticise a player if they're in a position to have a good shot on goal, which he was, for doing that.
Okay, Jefferson.
It's a difficult one. What I would say is, if it was Murphy,
I was about to say the same thing.
I think he would have squared it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we got on his arse so many times for blasting it. We saw last season he started squaring it across, and it kind of reminded me of remember the goal, the winner against Spurs. Him and Isak broke,
yeah.
and then he squared it across. That's probably how it would have gone down.
Do,
But
do
I
you,
don't blame Elanga. He wants to make his mark on his debut. So
okay. So first of all, I applaud the movement as well. He's been alert. He's and he hasn't strayed offside. He's read the line
through the
perfectly.
middle,
Right?
through the middle.
Do you think? Because I think, yeah, I think he's right in shooting. And I don't think it was a bad shot. I just think as the season progresses and he gets better with his end product under with training with Eddie, I think that goes in. But do you think you said Murphy would have squared it? Do you think if we had a striker, Elanga squares it?
Yeah, your automatic sort of thing is to almost
Being the
assist.
striker, yeah.
Obviously, we've seen that with Elanga with Chris Wood, isn't it?
Mm,
So, but if I was Gordon, I'd be a bit annoyed as well because you
okay.
know
I was just going to say if it was a striker, if it was a proper striker up there, say a Shearer or someone, they would be blasting him for not putting the cross into them. So I think a proper goal scorer up there gives you a slightly different mindset in that you think, hang on, if I cross this here, this guy's going to score. So
Okay. Scant says you've got to bury it. And Adrian said whether he should have squared it is irrelevant. He should have scored it. Fair enough. Fair enough. So you have? Do you think it's more a bad miss or a good save or a bit of both?
he looked like he couldn't quite get it out of his feet, and a little bit of power was there, but it's just like he's not even lashed it across enough. It's just within the keeper's grasp. So I don't know, man.
Okay.
made the keeper work, which is always the
Yeah.
question, the point that you have to make. He hasn't
Yeah.
put it where at least he's got it on target, but it could have been a better shot.
Gaetano said Nunes could have scored that. Let's not go that far. Let's not go that far, please. Yeah, because we've seen Nunes with some howlers. Yeah.
Big up, Piero. He's a Liverpool fan.
Okay, big up, big up. And then Vicky says it's a bad miss. Okay,
We know what Yinks is like, innit?
Queen says there was sitters just waiting for a foot on it.
Mm.
Okay. So obviously we haven't taken that opportunity. I think the next one came to Gordon, right? Now, I'm not sure if it was the outside of the box shot that he first or the header, but the header that he had, the close range header, yeah. Should he have done better, or was he unlucky? Because I thought that was quite unlucky. I don't think he has to score that. I don't think it was a glaring miss. I just think maybe the positioning wasn't right, or maybe it came at him too quickly. I don't know, but I don't think it was a bad miss. Like, what do you reckon?
I thought the delivery was spot on from Barnes. It was pretty much on a sixpence, and it's just one of them ones you just slightly. Obviously, I'm saying it like I'm some pro footballer myself, but you would think you don't need to literally like twist your neck back and go bang. You just
Mm,
slightly glance it along because you guide it because the cross is that good, it's that accurate. But he just completely like it goes up, so it shows that. But he's not a striker. That's the
yeah,
thing, and it shows what's missing. So in theory, you would argue if Isak is there, 2 goals, minimum one from those two opportunities.
I think if even if a Visser's there, it's the same thing. I think if we have a striker, we score at least one of those opportunities. But Bulky, what do you thought about the Gordon header?
Again, he's proven throughout his tenure when we've tried to play him up front, he's not a striker. He's not that way. And sort of again, he's doing a job for up there that isn't his natural position. So it's hard to criticise the lad because at least he did get to it. But I think if it was a proper striker, they would have buried it basically, as you have said. I think somebody who is a natural goal scorer scores those opportunities.
So all right, so like Big Gig said, Gordon isn't a striker, so I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But on that, then, I know hindsight, all that stuff, but would you have liked to see maybe Gordon on the left and a Sula start up front because he's the only recognised striker that we have at the moment, or do you think Eddie made the right decision because Asula's not ready? He's very raw. He's better on the wing. Like, what's your thoughts, Bulky, on that one?
Eddie was never going to take that chance. Personally, I think if you're a big name manager, you probably do start with a proper striker up front. I think not that Eddie's not a big name manager, but he's not in the top class of league. I think we'd all agree with that. In regards to that, he's went with the best team that he could for the way he coaches. Um, Elanga would be a chance to take, and Eddie's not a chance taker. I think we know that from previous things that he's done.
Okay. Kent, big up Kenny, said it's Howe's fault that there's no striker by trying to keep Wilson for so long. We discussed new striker end of last season. Listen,
Kenny, I don't know if he was here last week, but we discussed this last week, didn't we?
yeah. Listen, we can all point the finger and we know kind of where it lies and stuff. But the reality is, listen, we're here now. We knew we was going to the game with no striker. But
What I would say though is the
yeah.
player selection. I just think Gordon too lightweight. He's not a natural striker, so he doesn't know how to make the incisive runs. He's used to having the ball to feet and dribbling with it. Same as Elanga. Although, if anything, I would have, if anything, played Elanga more in the middle than Gordon. For me, Barnes should just be starting. I would have started pretty much our strongest team from last season. Barnes left, Murphy right. And
Okay.
then arguably, if you've got a Sula through the middle, at a minimum, because he's what, 6'3", 6'4",
Yeah.
you can launch the ball long. It gives us a legitimate option through the middle. And on his height alone, we saw him score a header against Ipswich. It gives you that little something more if you are going to be putting crosses into the box.
So okay, so I did see someone say on social media that although we didn't have the striker and Gordon was playing that position, he's not a natural striker, but his work rate and his pressing was part of the reason why Villa couldn't get any rhythm, especially out the back. Now, if we had a striker like Isak, he's not as good as pressing as Gordon, and they maybe have been more comfortable. They may have been able to penetrate us a bit more. What do you think about that, Bulky?
I think if I had a striker league, Isak would have scored. Is the major point of that. Gordon will run his heart out for you up front. I'm not denying that. He'll put a shift in, but he's not a striker. He would do the same if he was on the left wing. So it's a bit of a point that I think hopefully most players would run the hearts out, but he's just not a striker. He's proven that he can't play up there, and that if chances come to him, that he's not going to score them.
Okay. This is an interesting point from Luminous. Big up. He said Gordon isn't a striker. When we get Visser, he can put those crosses away, but we are looking good. I like how Elanga made central runs instead of wide all the time. We are looking all right considering things. And we're going to get to Elanga's performance in a minute because that's a very good point, by the way. Like Queenie says, smash the likes, people. It helps other magpies find their channel. That's correct, indeed. Big up, Queen. All right, so let's get to the second half now. Villa were growing into the game. I think there was a cross that Tielemans put across and no one was there to start him. We got a bit fortunate there. But the main talking point was the sending off. And again, hitting them on the break. And it was good to see great through ball from Elanga. Gordon, latching onto the run and he gets dragged down by Konsa. Any arguments? Do Villa have any arguments about that? Straight red, correct decision?
Yeah.
It's a straight
100%.
red. It's a straight red. And just to say as well, I think it was very evident that I think Emery must have cottoned on to what the lineup was, because evidently having Tyrone Mings and Konsa meant they just wanted to rough up our front three, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. So they go down to 10 men. Now at that point, did you think we were going to press on to get the win? Because sometimes they say playing against 10 is harder than playing against 11 because they can sit back now and defend for their lives, and it's hard to break down. We lack that creative midfielder. We all know about the difficulties we have in breaking down the low block. So did you expect us to get the win, or did you think they're just going to frustrate us, Jefferson?
It's so tough to say because you know how it is. Opening days and final days of the Premier League season are so unpredictable. You would like to think with the quality we have, even without a striker and the runners that we have, that we would make the numbers count. However, based on previous form, we struggle to break down a low block purely on the basis we don't have the profile of player you've just suggested. Now, something that did shock me that I haven't noticed during preseason and during this game, I don't know if you remember, I think it was the Spurs game. And for once, Eddie really out tacticked someone where we kept playing it left. So the team shifted left and then they switched it right. So Murphy was open. And the one time they did it, he had half a second to get more space, put the cross in, Isak scores. So I was looking for how could we utilize the extra space that we had, and I just didn't see it. I think that we lacked the bravery. It's interesting that the two clear cut chances we had came from times, yes, they were arguably on the break, but we were playing it through the middle. Once they got a player sent off, once, as we talked about, Elanga broke through. So why aren't we playing the ball through the middle? I think we should risk that a little bit more.
I think we're going to see more of that because you mentioned pre-season. I think I might be wrong, but I think I saw Elanga's goal against, who did he score? Is it Arsenal? I can't remember. But the way we played through the break quickly with Tonali was very pivotal to that as well. And there was another goal that we scored in pre-season where we looked like we're moving the ball very quickly and penetrating centrally. So you might see more of that. Adrian made a good comment. He said, did we hear Gordon post-match interview where he said he sees himself playing more centrally? Interesting.
He must be smoking something.
I've got to say, yeah, because we don't see that. But anyway, Bulky, what was your thoughts on when they went down to 10 men? Did you think we were going to break them down?
The first thing I've got to be honest about is I didn't watch the match. I was at work while the match was on, so I knew the score and I watched the match back. I have watched the full match. What I would say is on that, your hope was that we were going to go on and win the match. But watching it back, knowing what the final score was, it felt a little bit like Eddie was sort of making sure we didn't lose the match. There was maybe a little bit of, I think, a little bit nervousness there that if we get a 0-0 score, it's not a disaster, and it's not. It stops a little bit of the doom and gloom around the place. I think they'd went down to 10 men, then we'd been hit on the counter attack and lost the match. It maybe would have brought more panic in and a more, as I say, a little bit more doom about the place.
Yeah.
Okay. I think part of it is Eddie sort of trying to game manage it so that make sure we didn't lose.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a danger, they could hit us on the break, hit us on the break and stuff, and with the lack of pace that we have with those central defenders, maybe that could have been an issue. Maybe that was in his thinking, but you know, yeah, I didn't really think we were gonna. The fact that we've got no striker, and we struggled to break down the low block, I wasn't really expecting a breakthrough unless it came through a set piece. I didn't really think, but I didn't really think they were going to break us down either. So maybe Eddie could have been more brave with his substitutions. I don't know. Speaking of which, though, with the lineup, were you encouraged to see that? I'm going to butcher his name, but Park Sung Soo, is that his name? Were you encouraged to see him on the bench?
I'm not sure he could do anything at this level just yet. But
Right.
I think
yeah,
by this stage of the transfer window, we really wanted we got players on the bench, not a player like that. We wanted
Yeah.
well, we basically wanted a striker on the bench and a striker on the pitch in a perfect world. So
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Big up the American Geordie said Gordon and Elanga will run laps around the whole Prem this season. Interesting. Interesting. Um, time will tell, I suppose. Time will tell. Uh, Big up Curtis in the building.
big
Hold
up,
tight, Curtis.
Curtis.
So listen, so we leave well, Kenny said that I did say an old fashioned number 9 would score that header.
Hmm.
Yeah, probably. He probably would, to be fair. Big up Brant PDK in the building as
Oh,
well.
big up, big
Um
up.
but yeah, so listen, the game finishes 0-0. Before we go on to individual performances, do you see it as a point gained or 2 points dropped, Boki?
well, from your prediction, it's just point gained. From the match itself, I think if Eddie had been braver, especially when bringing on substitutes, sort of the defence, if he'd either took a central defender, sorry, took a defender off and brought a more attacking player on, or even if it just to try it for 5 minutes, like other teams do, pop a striker up there. We've got pace. Sorry, pop a defender up there. We've got pace. Have the defender flick it on, and see if one of the players can get onto it, and just give that a try for 5 minutes. See if we can nick a goal. But I think it's a point gained at the end of the day. As I say, from my prediction, I have to say that.
Okay, Jefferson.
It's a glass half empty and a glass half full, isn't it? There's going to be people looking at it in two different ways. And I can understand both arguments because you've got to think if we've got a man advantage, we should be able to make that count and press ahead, even with the quality we do have. However, quite a few of us getting into it thought we were going to lose the game. So you've got to be kind of gratuitous coming out with a point. Um, yeah.
Okay, I'd say it's a point gained, simply because I think a lot of teams are going to lose. A lot of big teams are going to lose at Villa Park, and they're going to struggle. And not only that, we've gone there without a striker. We've pretty much dominated them even before the red card, and we created chances. So, in that respect, you take in comparison to the first game of the season last season against Southampton. Going out 10 men and looking, and the first few games we looked toothless and got lucky to get anything out of the games and stuff. I think this was quite positive, and it's quite evident that if we have a striker in the ranks for the next few games, right, Liverpool could be anything because it's Liverpool. But going forward, I think there's a lot to be infused about. We look defensively sound as well, so that's another positive. And we dealt. Remember, Villa's got all that pace, especially in the attacking areas, and they didn't really threaten us. So, to me, it's a point gained. You know what I mean? It's away from home, beginning of the season. We haven't lost. I'd say it's a point gained. Speaking of individual performances now, let's talk about Elanga himself, because obviously he was the debutant. £55 million. A lot of stuff been said about whether it's a good buy or not. What did you think about his overall performance, Jefferson?
Listen, I think when you see someone with the pace of Anthony Elanga, it's a sight to behold. It's nice to watch someone galloping around, gets you off your seat a little bit. You think, oh, what's going on here? Something might happen here. So, from that perspective, I think it's good to have a thrilling new signing in the team. Very early to tell in terms of his quality. Yes, he missed a chance. He arguably didn't make the right decision, but I think he's shown he's bold enough to at least kind of take that chance at least. He seems a threat, particularly on the break, and this is something we talked about. That I think he will take time to adjust to our style of play. as you know, Forest sit deep and encounter, and that's when we would see the best of Elanga. We don't play that way, so it will take time for him. But I think kind of what Lominos was talking about, and I added to what I was saying. Start playing the ball through the middle, and what we can do is we can maybe use him in the same way Liverpool use Salah, where he's not actually a winger; he's an inside forward. So if he's making those inside curve runs, we might be able to play the ball through. That's what I'd like to see more of in the next couple of games.
Okay, just quickly, Big Yink said we need to push Bruno to help the attack and unlock defences. I'd rather him lose the ball in the opponent's area rather than our own. Interesting. Kelvin says, Jefferson, are you how out yet? Yet. But Scant said it's 2 points dropped. I disagree. I don't think it's 2 points dropped. But we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell. And I think the other thing is, what's sort of discouraging is it's the same problem we've had for about 3 years now. So I think enough's enough. It needs to be addressed. We need to learn how to cut through butter with a knife. We have to learn how to do that. And if we can't do it with the current set of players we've got, we need to bring that personnel in. I know it's great. We'll talk about it later. Seeing Ramsey come in, but I want to see a great passer of the ball. That's what I want to see come into the club now.
Okay. With Elanga himself, I thought it was an okay debut. I thought he started well. Like I said, the fact that he got into the position to shoot was encouraging. He didn't stop working hard on and off the ball. Yes, he shows there's a lot to work on, and yes, his strengths are on the break. Maybe it'll take a while to adapt to our style and stuff. But I think the signs were there. That it's a promising. It'll be a good buy. Against Liverpool, he should he should play to his strengths because they're going to dominate possession. We're going to sit back and try to hit them on the break. It'd be interesting to see if he starts and how he does against Leeds in the third game, because we're expected to take it to Leeds, whether way or not, it doesn't matter. We're expected to dominate possession, take it to Leeds and see what he can do there, because they're likely to sit back and try to hit us on a break as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops there. Like I said, I was infused the fact that he played the free boot to Gordon. He didn't dwell on the ball. Accurate pass as well, defense splitting pass. So the signs are there, man. The signs are there. I think he'll come good in it. Bulky?
I think we can't really judge Elanga until we've got a proper striker up front. We've sort where he's kind of working with his hand tied behind his back at times. In that, as we've said, Gordon isn't a forward, and it's sort of he's obviously not going to be able to be judged until he has that focal point up front where he can either cross or set up chances for him. But I think, as Jefferson said, for a debut, it was good. The speed does add a different element to the team because he is lightning fast. So the signs are there that he can be a good signing, but I think time will tell, and we need a striker up there for him to just show what he is worth.
Okay, so who was your man of the match? Because I'd give it to Tonali because at times he looked head and shoulders above anybody on the pitch. I thought his passing, his defensive work, his discipline, recycling the ball. I thought he did really well. Any other shouts for you, Bulky?
No, I completely agree. I think Tonali. I think that the more you see of that lad, you realise what a player he is. He is the all-round sort of midfielder, and in that centre role of the two midfielders, he's just a powerhouse. He can push forward. We've seen him push forward. You can see him defensively, and you can see him pick out a prop pass. I think he's probably the person that you need to build a team around. That we need to build this team around.
Funny you say that, because there was obviously the crowd were chanting at the end of the game, there's only one greedy so and so, yeah. And then someone on Twitter said, no, you've got another one, and he's the one you're going to build a team around now that Isak's gone, because he's been done for betting and stuff. So he loves money. I was like, what? Come on, man, slow down, bro. They're on him. But I agree. I think, listen, we've been saying this for ages on 90's Mag, that the team needs to be built around Tonali. And I think he's starting to show that. And I think this season you'll see him come more into a leadership role, be more vocal on the pitch, and be our central figure. So, I think he was our man of the match. Jefferson?
Yeah, just to say, I agree with PDK and Brandt. If you noticed on the match, Ali McCoy actually gave man of the match to Fabian Schär because I think was it the first half he was back to his best, spraying beautiful passes, and that's what he brings. Probably the envy of some of the Premier League in terms of the quality of passes that Fabian Schär brings you. But Byrne made some key interceptions actually as well and stifled their attacks, particularly like Morgan Rogers. If you notice, once he picks up steam, he's pretty hard to stop. But I think our defense met him head on quite a few times. So Burn and Share stood out for me. Um, and I think the other key factor is we've signed Chow. So there's no surprise there that both of them are putting a good performance. Why? Because they've got a rocket up their bum like, I might not be starting every week. And this is what we need for the key positions, right? So we're seeing Joe Linton now. His level is still below the rest, evident in preseason as well. We need to fill that position. I guarantee you'll see the best of these guys if they're challenged.
Okay, okay. So you mentioned signing Malik Chow, and you mentioned that Joe Linton, he needs to be challenged. Well, we do have another signing through the door, which we spoke about earlier during the week, but it's now official. We signed Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. Um, including the add-ons, I think it's like 44 million, but apparently the add-ons are hard to achieve, so we'll stick to the 39 million. But Bulky, what's your thoughts on the sign of Jacob Ramsey? Do you like it? Are you infused? Do you think we could have done better? Like, what's your thoughts?
If he's only midfield signing, then I don't think it is a great signing in that we needed somebody who was going to come in and replace J7. And people will say, oh, well, we need someone for the bench. Well, forget J7 would then go onto the bench. So he's a bench player. So if he's the backup to another midfielder that's coming in, then I don't have a problem with it. But if he's only signing and we don't sign a player challenge, well, not a challenge to replace J7 in the team, then I don't think we've improved the midfield. If anything, I think J7's getting older and going backwards. So that was my concern, is that we needed a replacement, and what we've brought in is a little bit of a bench warmer to be a replacement if something goes wrong with one of them.
Okay, okay. It'd be interesting to see what the chat think about Jacob Ramsey. Jefferson?
Yeah. I mean, I spoke about it on NUFC Talk TV. Was it last week we were on Boki talking about this? But if he's a Willock replacement, then fine. Because I think they're very like for like. Good speed, powerful runners. Although I think Ramsey does like a 1-2, and then obviously he's got a decent shot on him once he gets near the box. We haven't quite seen that attacking side of Joe Willock, unfortunately, in the last few years. Although he's capable of it, we know that. So I think he would be better fitting if we were getting rid of Willock, particularly again where they're both injury prone. And that is a concern for me because he's had hamstring issues, metatarsal issues, and his numbers have not been great over the past 2 years. So ideally, when you sign someone, we can't keep looking at potential. We need someone that's going to come in and hit the ground running and raise and elevate the level of the team. So for me, I would only be happy if he was a Willock replacement. And I know he's better than Longstaff, but I think he's a slightly different type of player to Longstaff. So I think there's a few holes to be filled. I actually think Miley becomes the Longstaff replacement, and like Boki's talking about, we do need a J7 replacement. Well, not replacement, but an improvement on rather
Okay.
would be great.
Kelvin said he's happy with the Ramsey sign, and he said he's not to replace J7, he's compete. And I agree. I think it's a good signing. Listen, I take into consideration his injury record is not great, so that needs to be improved upon. I think you mentioned in the last podcast with Bunce, hopefully that's a positive and he can work with him and get his fitness record up to speed. And the fact that, listen, Joe Linton is our starter, so Ramsey doesn't have to come in straight away and have someone demand on him. But the positives are he brings something different to Joe Linton. I think he's better offensively. He's still quite physical, but he can use both feet when it comes to shooting. I think, like you said, I don't know if you saw it in the interview, but he said he likes to drop into the pocket and stuff like that. So that brings a different dimension to our play. It'd be interesting to see how Eddie utilizes him when he's on the pitch.
Yeah.
Does he utilize him as a straight Joelinton replacement, or does he try to say, look, do what you can in the pockets, bit more creativity, get forward, attack more, stuff like that. It'll be interesting. He's got Champions League experience. He's played over 150 games, competitive games for Villa, I think it is. He seems quite confident in himself as well. And it adds to squad depth. I think it is someone who will challenge Joelinton. Joelinton's already picked up his first booking in the first game. So the likelihood of him getting suspended and injured, because he likes to be injured as well. So it's a positive. He's only 24. I think it's a good one. But like I said, Bulky, I'd like to see him signed with another midfielder. I know there's links to Fratesi, El
El
Canoes.
Canoes,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So someone in that ilk, then that then boosts this actual signing. So maybe him alone is not enough, but we're moving in the right direction. There's conversations that we're not done with signings, whether that means Visser and a striker or more than that. Time will tell. But I think he, as long as he stays fit, I think he will significantly improve under Eddie. I think he's got all the tools there, and he will bring more needed goals to the midfield as well, which we've been screaming out
Yeah,
for.
we need
So
it. We
yeah,
need it. And
yeah.
I think he talked about in his signing for the club, he talked about the work that Eddie had done to improve players and particularly those at international level. So he's obviously referring to Tino, Gordon, and Lewis Hall, because clearly he might have objectives to get into the England team. So that could have been a motivating factor for
Which
him
he
leaving.
said he said in his injury, in his interview, he said that was one of the main factors as well, that he's seen the likes of Gordon and Hall get into the England team. So he thinks he can do the same. Big up Choppy in the building. He said this time next year Newcastle will be replacing Joelinton, and we spoke about the need to for evolution if we're going to progress, and that's the position that we need to look at. Kelvin said they're not like for like. Willock is terrible. Fair enough. Kenny said Villa fans are gutted that he's gone, which might tell you something about it as well. Adrian, what are the odds of Manu getting Wharton and Palace getting Miley and us getting Fratesi? Now that's not a bad shout, because Man United have missed out on Baleba, and if there's talk that they're going to go for Adam Wharton. Palace are interested in Miley on loan, and we've been linked to Fratesi today. So you never know. You never know. I don't think the odds would be that long on that one. To be fair, that's a good
I'd
shout.
cry if I think it's a sad day if we lose Miley, because I just feel, unfortunately, the way we play and the formation, and it's not having a go at the coach. I just think there needs to be more flexibility in the team. We can get the best out of this boy. So even if it's like we take Bruno off, we bring Miley on, we push him further forward, we'll see a lot more from him. I just think we're not utilizing him. If we lose him after losing Anderson last year, I don't know if everybody saw Anderson's assist today. It's a sad day for the club. We should not be selling Lewis Miley. So fingers crossed that isn't the case. I'd rather see someone like Willock go before we see Lewis
I
Miley
would
leave
say
the
we
club.
need the same scenario, but it not be Miley, it be Willock that goes to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, maybe.
And he'd fit in well there.
Yeah,
He
he
would.
would. He would.
He would.
Yeah. Queen says rotation has been what we needed, because of having the first 11 play every game throughout the season is going to get them injured quicker. Very true. And big up Specs in the building. Geordie Dread TV. Obviously, check out his content. I think he'll be on later after this. He said Ramsey, good addition, box to box. Fair enough. Yeah.
Taking a leaf out of Kelvin's book there. Short and sweet.
Big up Mason in the building. Big up Mason.
Big up, big up.
But yeah, it's when do you see him getting a start? Because he should be in the squad for the Liverpool game. Do you think he gets minutes there?
Do you know? I think part of the question is this season is Eddie actually going to rotate the squad properly? Because in the past he hasn't done it fully. I think there's going to be some games where he's going to have to like either completely change the team or change the majority of the team. And Ramsey's probably part of that. Will he get minutes? I think he probably will. But my best guess would be he'd come off the bench. I think the team will probably be, unless we get a striker in early this week, it'll be the same as we played against them the other day.
Okay. Do you think Howe makes changes for the Liverpool game, or more likely for the Leeds game?
because both games are quite full on. They're quite intense, isn't it? So by the time you reach Leeds and we're not full fitness, the players will likely be tired, won't they? We'll probably need a couple.
But then, am I right in saying that after game 3 there's an international break?
Oh, is there a break? Okay.
Yeah,
Or
I
is it
think so.
before or after? After.
After, yeah, 3 games and then international break. So we'll see. Have you guys seen any other links to midfielders? Anything like that? Do you think we're going to sign another midfielder? More importantly,
The only one we've discussed that I can remember was Gallagher, Conor Gallagher, and
what do you think about that, Bulky? Because I'm not for that one. That's another athlete to me. That to me
uh, if we hadn't signed Ramsey, then as a Willock replacement on the bench, then yes. Now, no, it's a definite no. We need. He's not a J7. Basically, what we're looking for now, if we're bringing another midfielder in, is somebody come in, challenge and take over J7.
Yeah. Brant made a good point. He said, hard to know what to do in the Liverpool game since we still have signings we're going for. You're right. We should have a striker in by then. Craven says Ramsey has only 2 goals and 4 assists in 2 years in the league. Yes, he does, but he has been injured for a long time. I think he's only scored 17 goals for Aston Villa, but good goals as well, to be fair. But while you're here, Bulky, what's your thoughts on the sign of Malik Chow?
I think he's a good signing, quick. Mind you, of short players like he did yesterday. He's going to have trouble getting in the team. But no, I think he's a good. I think he's a good long-term sign, and I think him and if we can keep Botman fit and him and Botman are at the back, I think that's a hell of a centre back pair.
Okay.
And the age profile's good. Obviously, the age of the back four was getting really worrying. Whereas their signings, it sort of brings that age down.
So here's a question before. Well, Kenny says anyone signed this week won't start till after the break. I think, given the fact that I don't know,
Slightly.
I don't see us going into the Leeds game without a striker starting because we need to start getting goals and points on the board. So I think that might change. But you mentioned, and it's a question for both of you. You mentioned the potential pairing of Botman and Chow, right? So if we have Botman, Chow, Tino, and Hall, right? How did that compare, in your opinion, to the better defenses in the league, potentially?
It's unproven. So it's hard to judge, because we still don't know how Tiao will be in the league. And Botman, again, unfortunately, I can't remember the last time I saw him play 90 minutes.
No, but you know what Botman's capable of? You've seen Tino and Hall, right? Add in Chow. Do you think it has the potential to be the best in the
It
league?
has the potential. Yeah, it has the potential, but they need to go out there and do it. But it certainly has the potential for sure. They got
Okay.
all the attributes, because again, like we discussed last week, I think you've kind of got one side that has more the physical raw attributes, and you've got the other side that has the more technical attributes. I'm actually really interested to see the strength of Botman and Burn, like Botman and Hall rather, because I love seeing Hall come. He doesn't just overlap; he comes into the midfield, you know. So I can't wait to see him back in the side.
I think with that back four as well, they've got so much potential moving forward. If we can't keep Botman fit, if Chow fits in and the work together, they could be our back four for the next 5-6 years.
Okay.
They're that age, so if they start to develop together and get an understanding, it is a potential that they could very well be the best in the league. I don't think as such some of them won't be the best player in that position in the league, but I think as the back four, I think they could be the best back four in the league.
Okay. Keep smashing the likes, people. Be much appreciated. Appreciate those.
Brand
Yeah.
made the interesting point about the Real Madrid rumours.
Yeah.
Because there could be some dominoes starting if Spurs sign God, what's his name? Actually,
Eze.
no, not Eze.
Savino.
No, not Savinho. Another Brazil. Rodrigo.
No. It's Spurs. It's Spurs signed
Is
Rodrigo.
it Spurs?
No, Man City.
Man City.
Spurs
That's
signed
the one.
Savino and Man City signed Rodrigo.
And then,
We'll talk about.
Yeah.
Just before we move on, though, a question because all right, Bulky. If we have hypothetically, you've got Ramsdale in goal, you've got that back line that we spoke about. You arguably have Bruno, Tonali, and Ramsey. and then you have Elanga, Visser, and Gordon. Yeah. Do you think that lineup will see Eddie change his style of play, like a more controlling? Can we dictate and dominate games possession style play? Do you think that changes anything in any way?
Changes massively at the back in that you've got pace there. So you're constantly worried about the back four having to stay back. They can play out from the back, and there's pace there to save with. Midfield wise, I think it's a pretty solid midfield. Ramsey going in there, he's not going to make it less sturdy. He's just, it's arguable whether he's a better player than J7, but he's not going to be bad in there. The only point I would make with that one is we need a striker up front. We need to, and if we're saying Elanga, that's great, but we still need a main striker. I think Elanga is a backup striker. I think we're getting into the mindset that if we get Elanga, everything will be okay. It won't. We either need Isak to come back into the team, or we need another striker who is the first choice up there as well.
Well, Curtis asked, he said, would you guys be happy with Rissa and Ramos to replace Isak? So before we address that one, the whole thing about the dominoes falling into place, Jefferson, is there anything you want to touch on that one?
Yeah, just well, I could get, you might need to help me out with the teams. I keep getting the teams wrong.
All right, so
So if Spurs sign who?
thanks,
Spurs sign
Savino from
Savino.
City. Man City get Rodrigo from Real Madrid. Yeah. So who does that lead you saying that could be Isak
There-
to Real
There's a
Madrid?
there's a chance, isn't it? That they always like a Galactico. I know it goes against their current model because they seem to be teething players on a free, don't they? They rarely splash out, but surely, and again, this is no offense to Liverpool fans, surely Isak will be looking and thinking, hold on, like I could be playing for the biggest team in football, let
Bro,
alone Liverpool. So
I tried to show certain Liverpool fans that Real Madrid is a step up from Liverpool, and they weren't having it. Yeah, Scamps will know who I'm talking about. Yeah, hold tight, D Dubs. But I did tell them, listen, it's a step. That's why I said Isak would stay for. This was months ago. I said Isak should stay for another summer, and then next year but the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid were in for him, and that's a step up from Liverpool.
yeah,
They
they're a
were they
super
weren't
club.
having it. They weren't having it.
Liverpool,
But
Liverpool, I'm afraid, are not a super club. And I guess Man United on the commercial side is what takes them above Liverpool in that respect. But arguably, we know it's Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. They are the super, and to an extent, AC Milan. But really, those three are the super clubs, super elite.
okay.
And if you're a footballer, you got dreams. You definitely want to play for one of those, didn't you?
All right. So as Curtis said, would you guys be happy with Vissa and Ramos to replace Isak? Boki, would you be happy with that?
At this point, yes. Yeah, I think that's probably the best outcome we can get.
Okay, Jefferson, would you be happy with that? I know you're a fan of Ramos.
You know what, I like Gonzalo Ramos. I won't try to say that again. Obviously, and I think Eddie does too because he impressed in a friendly. I don't know if everyone remembers. Was it last season or the season before? We played Benfica in a hot-tempered friendly in
Yes.
Portugal, and it had everything. It had all kinds of action, good quality football from both sides. But one of the things that happened was Goncalo Ramos scored against us. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. I think we thought the fee was too expensive because that was his breakout season. He hadn't really yet proved himself as
Yeah.
much, and he ended up going to PSG. We saw how good he was at the Euros. He got that hat trick against Switzerland, against Fabian Schär, no less. So I think he's a great finisher. I think he's what we're missing, a culture finisher. In terms of Vissa, I've just got one more thing to say. So Vissa's going to be 29 in September. That's old. That's old. Joe Linton's just turned 29, and we are trying to bring the age of the squad down. Now, here's a curveball. Here's a curveball. I think, actually, rather than Vissa, Rodrigo Muniz would be a better signing. Now, he might be more at 40 or 45 million, but you can see the trajectory he's going on. He's up and up and up. He's still got the highest minutes per goals ratio based on his appearances in the Premier League. And if anybody saw that finish yesterday, he came on and saved Fulham yesterday. Very ice cool in front of goal. Vissa, I think Brentford are a very direct team. And again, we don't play the same style of football as Brentford, long ball. And he was able to have the likes of Mbuemo up front or Tony up front with him to help him out there. So it's just something to bear in mind because in 2 years, When he's 31 and the goals start drying up, what do we do? Whereas if you sign a 24-year-old, that inverted commas, Eddie can improve, the sky's the limit, is it not?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but first of all, I've looked at the quality of Visser's goals, right? And he scores a large variety of goals, but he's a he can be a poacher as well. We need, like I said, if he was there yesterday, he scores at least two. Yeah, his movement, he can drop deep as well. The link up play is really good. And the thing is, yes, he's 29. Listen, in terms of sell on value, there's nothing there, but he's prem proven, which is a good thing in itself. But also, he's not a he's not a 20. He's not like a Chris Wood who's going to slow down at over over age. He's still going to be dynamic at 30, 31, bro. He is. You get to the fitness is there. He's not that kind of. He's like a Mane, bro. He's like a Mane. No matter how old he is, he's still going to have that turn of pace, that little dynamism. I think about him, and I think if we can get this over the line, it's a very very good signing. Now, if he was to get a Ramos as well, they're in a similar ilk. But listen, Ramos is a quality striker. If we was to get both, who do you think is our main striker this season? Vissa or Ramos, Bulky?
I think yeah, alternate between them, but I think Ramos would be the main man. I think with the Wissa, the only point I make on the Wissa one is bringing him in. If you're bringing Ramos in, as we're seeing with Isak, he improved when him and Wilson were playing together, like playing against each other. And I think that's partly because Wilson was a good striker, and I think Wissa's got the same thing about him, that he's maybe somebody that if we have a young striker and a slightly older one who's used to the Premier League, he can sort of help teach. I think coaches can do so much, but I think the people who actually play in the position and are still playing in the position now can sort of help develop the younger players, and that's what we'll have all over the team. Then now we'll have slightly older players teach, like who are there to back up or teach the younger players, and I think having two young strikers might just be a little bit too
Too much
much.
of a risk, yeah.
Yeah.
Big up Jay in the building. He said, I watched Vissa score most goals in 6 yard box, but I feel we need a more high caliber striker who will be more of a presence than Vissa going forward for the Toon. Let us know what you think about Ramos then, Jay, or if you've got anyone in mind.
Because
Let's see.
this is a foil. This is a foil essentially. He's not going to lead the line. Like I said, he had Ivan Tony. People underestimate that Ivan Tony was actually really good at holding up play or setting people up. And the same with Mbuemo, serving stuff on a plate. We play in a slightly different way. So I'm saying just be conscious of that. Brentford use a lot of set pieces, throw-ons, and playing long balls. And then, as Big Yinks would say, operate in chaos, which is what Visser can do. We don't put the ball in the mixer. I know we whip it in, but we don't like launch it long, if that makes sense. So it's just being wary of that. He's a good finisher, but we play very different football.
Okay, okay. Did anybody you lot see this thing about Isak wanted to play against us for the Liverpool game? Did anyone see that? Craig Cope apparently
I seen
reported
a Jacob put something out about it. Yeah,
ridiculous, ridiculous. I don't. It's not going to happen anyway. But do you think there's a possibility, Boki, of Isak going anywhere but Liverpool in terms of like Real Madrid or PSG?
there's not been any. That's the strange thing about it. But well, strange in that there's not been any other rumours of any other club coming in for him. Whether they just don't have the money. But I mean, he's a world class striker. You'd think there'd be a couple of other teams that would maybe be sniffing around, but there's not been any sort of noise about that. It's all been Liverpool.
Seems like it's the club that he wants. So, do you think he goes, Boki? Do you think he's going to be sold?
I think as long as as the longer the transfer window goes on, the less chance there is. Unless we get two strikers in, I think he stays. I think it gets to probably January. Then maybe there's more of a bidding war for him.
Okay, okay.
But do you think that's why Eddie's looking at more attacking midfielders now as that stopgap? You know, you're looking for diversifying our goals basically rather than relying on one man. Because if you break down last season, I think was it Isak got 23, Gordon got like 6, Barnes got 9, and Murphy got 9. So all of a sudden, if you've got midfielders chipping in with 7, 8 goals as well, it lightens the load. It could be that insurance policy in case we can't get the second striker. Maybe.
I think part of it as well is financial fair. We'll forget financial fair play is kicking we a little bit again. In that nowadays, when you sign a player, you have to sign them on quite a long-term contract to cover the wages over the financial fair play, and so you can't like look to take a risk on a player who comes in on a like a 2 or 3 year deal, because players won't do that now. And as I say, you can't really do it with financial fair play. So it's another way that we're being screwed over by financial fair play, if you like.
Because you got the 70%, isn't it? Wages to revenue
Yeah.
ratio. Yeah.
And Jay says, for me, no point having great wingers without a great striker. Sesko got on the pitch and today immediately lifted Man United players. Newcastle need a striker to lift our spirits on the pitch. Do you, Bulky, were you, in hindsight, would you have taken Ekatike and got rid of Isak?
Well, now, yes, hindsight's a great thing, but yes, of course you would, because you'd have had somebody who you could play from the first game of the season. I don't get why, if Liverpool are so into getting Isak, why they went in and got him, why they didn't just let us sign him. Then I think it was natural progression that they could sign Isak. I can't quite get my head around that one, because are they going to play them two together, or are they going to put them up against each other? I don't know how it works for Liverpool.
I mean, it's interesting. Listen, like Ekatike can drift to the left.
Yeah.
Also, Isak's injury record, he can't play, 60 plus games all season. So Ekatike will get his chance up front. And he's performing well at the moment. So as long as he keeps scoring in that position, it makes it harder for Isak to start. It could be the fact that because he's doing so well, Liverpool might just pivot to a wide player, to getting a wide player in and keeping and not worrying about Isak. I have my theory about his agent panicking and having Isak do all this stuff when he's trying to push Liverpool to make a bid, and he's scrambling now because he's put Isak in a precarious situation. Is there any way back for Isak? Do you think, Jefferson, if it turns out that he doesn't get sold? Is there any way back for him in terms of the fans, how they feel about him, that his teammates? Because you've seen a few comments from the likes of Gordon and Byrne talking about the disruption that they've had, but how they're still sticking together and stuff like that. Like, what's your thoughts?
It's an interesting one, because I think it ultimately probably has or will split the camp, because the likes of Elanga, Asula, there were players that were closer to Isak that he has friendships with. And I think there's that element of football is a business as well. So they understand that players have got to do what players have got to do. It's just, of course, they're not going to be happy with the way he's gone about it. The other thing is, I think Eddie has turned recently, but up until very recently, it was clear that deep down he wants him to stay. As we know, you're banging a few goals, and I wouldn't say all is forgotten, but I think you can very much be forgiven if you work hard and deliver for the team. So listen, there's 2 weeks to go. A lot can happen, and if the window shuts, I don't think it's going to be a situation like he's going to have his ass sat on the bench. He's going to have to work hard to get in the team, to get fit, obviously. But once he's fit, I think he'll get picked.
Yeah, once he starts scoring a couple goals, I think I won't say all will be forgiven, but you'll see a lot less, hate and towards him and stuff like that. But it's interesting because we vilify him for what he's done. Visser's also doing similar to get out of Brentford, and Anthony Gordon did the same thing to get out of Everton to join Newcastle. So he went on strike, stuff like that. So it's part and part of the business, but it's not good when it gets down to your club. You know what I mean? So, but just this comment by PD Prouddock, he said Muniz ain't good. You think he's going to replace Isak? No way, lads. I don't think that's what Jefferson said. I think he said as an alternative to Visser. I think that's what he was getting at. But big up PD Prouddock as well. But yeah. Any other striker targets we've been linked to? I can't think of many, to be fair. And that's what the concerning thing is, because there's not many alternatives. I think it could be
the Samu one's still hanging around a little bit, isn't it? But that 80 million price tag, is it non-negotiable? Because I know with these Portuguese clubs, yes, they do rip people off, but some of the fees are negotiable. For example, was it Jokeres? His fee was like meant to be 85, but they managed to wrangle it down to like 57 or whatever it was. So I don't know if we could get on the negotiation table. Samu looks a great prospect, man. He's got all the physical attributes we need. So, but 80 million's too much.
Okay. Arlo, what do you reckon? What are you saying? Come on, Jefferson. What's that about? Like, let us know. And obviously, Badro said Jefferson said that Barca and Bayern are bigger than Liverpool. Are you mad? Real Madrid is the only team. Isak only wants LFC, the Kings of England. Well, we can guess who you support, Badro.
Yeah, mate.
But I'm
I
sorry.
think he's an Everton fan.
Why the hell are Barcelona not bigger than you? If you look at it, the trophies, yeah, I think they've won something like 97 trophies and you've won 60 something or something like that. So they're commercially, they've got a bigger fan base than you worldwide, yeah, bigger stadium, yeah, they've got the best players ever have played for them, yeah, not you, right? So Ballon d'Or winners, what metric are we going on? Yeah, what? Because you've got Salah? No, come on, bruv. Come on, bruv. Let's be real about things, bruv. Barcelona and Real Madrid are bigger than you. Yeah, Bayern. Listen, that's up for debate, but Barcelona and Real Madrid are definitely bigger than you. Yeah, and I'm not saying you're not a massive club, but like Jefferson said, they're super clubs. They're super clubs. Yeah, it is what it is. But Olivier said, Rissa is getting disrespected massively by you lot. Rissa is supposed to be Wilson replacement when he's younger and scored more goals. Rissa scored more goals than Wilson in the last 2 seasons. Listen, I want the Rissa signing. I rate Rissa highly. So I ain't been disrespecting him. I think, like I said, if he was there yesterday, he scores two. I think his movement is exceptional. He's a finisher. He's pacey. Like I said, I don't think he's going to get slow with age. I said he's like a Mane. Yeah, I like this, and I hope it gets done ASAP. Yeah, I want him there for the Liverpool game because I think he can cause them serious problems. Serious problems. But he's on your neck, bro. I can't wait when Isak scores a hat trick versus
Gave him
Newcastle.
a response. Our midfield is going to absolutely clamp them, just like we did in the 3-3 draw. They knew what time it was. They weren't ready. They weren't ready for us, bruv. And we know this. We know one of Joe Linton, Bruno, or Tonali are going in hard. Like one of them's getting a red card or a yellow card or something.
Katie said, if we don't sell Isak, how much money do you think we have left to spend? We have spent over 100. Do you think we have much left if we don't sell Isak? If we don't make the Isak sale? Listen, I thought without the Isak sale, I thought we had between 150 and 180 million to spend. So I still think there's enough for one, maybe two signings. But remember, if we make the one signing and keep Isak, so get a midfielder and keep Isak, then that's fine. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think we should be enough without the sale. Well, I don't think we'd be standing as strong if we didn't. If we weren't going to be fine. But Bulky, what do you reckon?
Do you mean if Wissa comes in as well there? Because you said keep your second side one midfielder. So I still
Yeah,
think
If we keep, yeah.
Isak will still need another striker. So forget
Yeah.
another
This
striker and a midfielder. Then
Yeah.
I think it's been a good window. Then the only problem is trying to keep Isak, isn't it? And it's also what type of player he is when he comes back. If he does come back into the fold, as you were saying, you don't want him disrupting the squad. The squad has, through this whole situation, seems to have stayed together really well. There hasn't been any rumblings from any other players, and if he goes back in, you don't want him sort of being the bad apple in the court sort of thing, getting at players. So, and again, I think this is why Eddie hasn't had him training with the first team, because you don't want that sort of negativity around it. So I think if he does come back in, there has to be some sort of apology from him, or sort of a statement out to the fans
Oh
saying,
yeah, there has to be.
I've made a massive mistake.
I never wanted Liverpool in the first place. Something along those lines. I mean, Connor, big up Connie said reports tonight Newcastle to make a 35 million total package offer for Vissa tomorrow. Listen, I think we need to get this wrapped up by Wednesday.
That's
Yeah,
why I think the Ramsey one, I just think rather than paying 40 whatever million, we should have done a loan with an obligation to buy. or something like that, then that saves a bit of money. You know, like what we did with Lewis Hall, we paid the 28 million the following season. Um, but I guess remember we've got the sales to factor in of Kelly, Almiron, and Longstaff, so I think that gives us a bit more to spend.
Yeah, good point. Big up Mantle on the build said Vista scored 4 less Premier League goals than Isak. He will be our number 1 this season if Isak relieves. Okay, on that then, if Isak Vista signs, how many Premier League goals do you think he scores, Bulky?
Just quickly on the transfer fee for Wissa, do you think at this point we'll go into them and say, look, we'll give you an extra 5 million, we'll give you 40 million, but he signs, you release him and he comes up the day basically? So that we've got him for the week and he's ready for the Liverpool game. In regards to goals, it depends how many, who else was signed, but I think you can at least rely on him for 10, 15 maybe in the team that we've got.
I see Kenny said 25. Wow. Adrian 24. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Jefferson, how much did he score? How many does he score?
I think 12 to 15. I think closer to 15 goals.
Yeah, I'd say between 15 and 18. Okay.
Wow.
Scants, that slot talk hits different. Relax, bro. Like, come on, bro. Just get the wallet out and pay the money in it. Just pay the
Pay
money.
the 150, baby.
Yeah. Kenny says the owners can afford to keep Isak, the club can't. Interesting. So what else we got? Yeah, so I'm saying, are you saying 15 to 18 as 12 to 15 as our main striker, Jefferson? Or are you saying as our second striker?
As our second striker. So if he's coming off the bench or whatever that might be.
Okay. Toon Lad said, yes, Ramsey has lots of chemistry with Gordon and he's an Eddie Howe player. Eddie Howe is fond. Okay. Interesting. So what do you, if you had to, I know it's a bit early, we haven't made the signings yet, but Bulky, what do you think we're going to do against Liverpool? Do you think we're going to win?
If we've got a focal point up front, so if we get, as I say, if we just get Wissa across the line early in the week, I think personally that it's going to be a draw. I think it'll probably be a score and draw. If we don't, then I worry about we again in regards to if the biggest worry is at the minute if we're playing with the team that we went out with at the weekend, if someone scores against we, how do we get back into the game? What changes can we make, or what in-game management can he do to get we back into a game?
Okay. Jefferson?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I think Bournemouth showed us a bit of a prototype at how to get at them. By the way, shout out Semenyo, by the way. But the issue is being caught on the break, and that is our weakness. What are we going to do against that? The pace they've got, I can see it happening, that they'll catch us on the break. You know, Atletico Madrid did. So we have to prepare for that. Because we saw Liverpool were able to make it happen and get 2 quick goals like that. We also saw that happen last time we played at home against them. So I can see us scoring a goal or 2, but can we keep them out? I don't know. I feel like if we play too much of a defensive formation, which I fear Eddie might do, I actually think we play into their hands because they can unlock a low block as well. They're not just a team that hits on the break. So yeah, I'm just hoping Eddie has some kind of master plan, really.
It's got to be interesting because if we do sign Visser, I personally would start him against Liverpool. I don't think we can afford to do this Gordon in the 9 because that's way too defensive anyway. We're not going to create much or opportunity. So I think Visser can bring that unpredictability to the starting lineup. Our midfield is going to be key because I don't think Liverpool's midfield is up to scratch at the moment. I think actually they can be got in transition as well. But I expect them to score. So it's like, who scores first? How do we react if they score first? And also, given literally the world will be watching. This is the Isak derby, and he's not even going to be there, right? But you can tell by the players' comments that they're looking forward to this game. They're up for this game already. They look at can we keep our heads? I'm talking about Joe Linton, especially Bruno. Are we going to keep 11 men on the pitch? You know what I mean? Like, how's it gonna go? So I think we can get something. It's best to play Liverpool now before they start to get settled into their groove and stuff. So, first home game of the season under the lights. It's never an easy place for opposition to come to. I think we can sneak a win. I think we haven't beat them up for a very long time in the league, whatever. But we know what we did to them in the cup, so that we'll get confidence from that. And yeah, it'll
What
be
side is Elanga on? Who's Elanga playing against? It's Kirkes, isn't it?
yeah,
I guess I'd have to look back and see how Forest did against Bournemouth last year, but I fancy him against Kirkes,
yeah. That could be one
And
area that we could.
Frimpong, look, listen, like David Brooks, decent player, but David Brooks had Frimpong like on toast, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we
They're
know where the
fullbacks. Yeah,
weaknesses are.
yeah.
And as for Virgil, oh my God, you seen the memes when he's running away from the danger, right?
But look at Konate, bro. He's got that bozo gene in him as well. So listen, we can take positives, bro. Gravenberch won't be fit. You know what I mean? So like he might be just coming back because obviously he's missed out a baby and that. So listen, McAllister's not fully fit. We could get something, man. We could get something.
Do you think part of it is as well? Do we chuck a couple of the younger defenders in? So if we are going to start rotating the squad with the speed Liverpool's got going forward, do we have a younger centre? One of the younger centre backs in, and if Hall's fit, do we play Tino and Hall? It's Chow and Burn at the back.
Yeah,
So you've got a bit of pace there.
yeah, because
Is
Ekatike's
too
movement
slow.
and Share's move.
Burns too
But
slow.
yeah, we could. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Adrian raised a good question here. If Issa gets the number 9, are we happy? I think we talked about this in the last one, and a lot of people said no, they don't want him to take the number
It's
9.
got to be for a marquee signing, isn't it? We
I
can
think
save it. We can save it.
the only thing is with that is if Isak isn't going to go, do we have to give him the number 9? So we've got a number 9 this season. It's the first season we've went into where we haven't had a number 9 in the Premier League.
Could
Okay.
that be a good omen or a bad omen? You never know.
Oh, speaking of
Never
strikers,
know.
though, Badjo asked a very good question. Yeah, who is better striker, Isak or Andy Cole for Newcastle?
Oh,
Forget the trophies. Forget the
it's got to
trophies.
be Andy Cole, surely.
Andy Cole's my favorite player because
I
he's the
don't
reason why I
think
supported Newcastle.
anyone has just had that electric form coming into the Premier League. What did he get? Was it 42 goals or something
Something like
in
that.
all comps that year?
Yeah,
I
but
think Andy Cole was an out and out goal scorer, wasn't he? And as you see, he's a brilliant player. Isak probably could have got ahead of him if he'd stayed, but he hasn't. He's so.
I will say though, I know it's different times, isn't it? Yeah, but Andy Cole, listen, very disrespected as well. But Andy Cole never got that potentially best striker in the world tag or best striker in Europe. Isak now,
Mm.
his all round ability as well. Like you said, Andy Cole was a goal scorer, he's a killer.
Yeah.
But Isak, the all round ability, yeah, on the eye as well. Listen, Isak, we haven't had a striker like Isak before. Yeah, like he's that. He could do everything. He could.
Agreed, Adrian. Beardsley may have helped Cole out because they had, until very recently, the highest, striking combinations in the Premier League until it was broken. I don't know which team broke it.
Did you ever hear Gary Lineker talk about playing with Beardsley? And the one about how he scored 49 goals for England, and he says, "Well, most of you down there playing with Peter Beardsley with us." I think any striker that played with Peter Beardsley was going to score goals because he was just a little magician at getting them chances, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mantle here said Vista scored 19 goals in a mediocre Brentford team, and you reckon he won't break 20 goals in our squad? Guy, he will hit 25.
Yeah, but if he's playing 90 minutes every week because he's their leading player, he's
Yeah,
going to do that. But for us, he isn't going to be the number one. So you have to factor that in. And then you have to build rhythm. You have to get consistency, all those sort of things. The team have to get used to you, know how you play, know how
yeah,
to give you service. Like
yeah,
I said, he had the luxury of being up front with Ivan Toney and then having Mbuemo. And remember, I think for one season, there was all three of them, or 2 seasons.
yeah,
So
yeah. Big up King Cam in the building. This is why the priority of the game is not conceding. If we do not concede, we will have a chance. I'm talking about the Liverpool game.
big up, Clive. Where you at? Where you at, bro? Yeah,
Kenny,
he was meant to be it.
has Vista trained for the last 5 weeks? That's an interesting point. Has Vista been training like Isak, hasn't he? Like away from the
Yeah,
team. Like so, you know
he's
what I
not going
mean?
to be fit. He's
He's
not going to
not
be
gonna
fit.
be fit. So it's gonna be big up. You never walk alone. Liverpool 90 shots versus Bournemouth, the highest in all games. Yeah, okay. Let's see if you have 90 shots against our defense. Yeah, let's see. Let's see.
Just to say, my friend Clive, who's popped in the chat to say Isak isn't as good as or as all round as Sir Les. Obviously, he played with Sir Les from when he was like 16. So when we do eventually get him on the show, he'll be able to tell us some stories about him from when he was younger.
Okay, okay. We got Clive. Gavin Brett has played all pre-season. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. We're gonna have Scants on, by the way. Whether it's before the game or after the next game, the next thing after that. So big up Scants. Um, St James's Park will receive Liverpool hard. They will have a fight on their hands. That's for sure. Listen, it's going to be a feisty affair. It's going to be a feisty affair, but it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. Or doesn't get props because of his conversion rate. True. He also,
And Glenn Hoddle basically killed him, didn't he?
yeah,
When he did that thing, he said it takes him 5 chances to score a goal.
He never took penalties, Cole, either, did he? So
Mm.
well,
every
this is
goal he
it.
scored was actually a proper goal, but a goal that wasn't a penalty.
Mo Salah just equaled his record as well, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
The last game.
Mason said, "Did anyone in the lad see Vista wearing a Newcastle top underneath his Brentford jacket?" I saw a clip of that. Was that real?
What?
Was that real? Okay.
This guy's a menace. What's he doing?
What's your just quickly? What's your thoughts on that? Because he's effectively doing what Isak's doing, right? So, for those who are vilifying Isak, should they not keep the same energy for Vista?
I guess I mean we don't know what's happened behind the scenes. I think there's something we don't know. By the way, I think everybody's coming at Isak. I think there's something going on. Either something's been exchanged or said, or the club's done him wrong in some kind of way. I just think no one acts like this out of nowhere. However, I think on Visser's end, the club did promise him if a Champions League club comes in for him, they'll let him go, and they haven't done that. So
Yeah, Scan said and Gordon. Yeah, but like I did say, Gordon did the same thing to force his way out of Everton. So it's different aberrant out now. Listen,
that's
all right.
that's music to this guy's ear, man. Oh, wrong way.
Let's quickly talk about that. Just to briefly
Oh,
chat on that Man United Arsenal game, right? Because Man United lost again, right? But their fans are talking about how good their attack is looking with Cunha in Bremer, who is linked to. Obviously, Sesko came on for half an hour, who's linked to. Do you, as a Newcastle fan, are you worried about Manchester United? Bulky.
Um, not as much as you would have been in the past. Not really. I'd be a lot more worried when we're playing teams like Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. Um, Man United, they've got the big names still, but they don't. When you used to play them years ago, it used to put the fear of God in you, thinking, "Oh, there's no chance here." But I think with this Man United team, even with the new signings, there's still a good chance that you're going to be able to beat them.
Okay, Jefferson, anything? Because I know you're a big fan of Amarim. Yeah.
clearly, I think the key to the formation, isn't it, is the fullbacks and the wing backs and the midfielders. So I think they've signed front players, but until they get those midfielders in, it's gonna still be very difficult to execute that formation. They looked a bit better today. They had a decent preseason. They're in sixes and sevens last season, but it's gonna take a bit more. They're definitely not enough to be getting all flash to everyone. Like,
Well, Scad said you have to admit they currently have a better attack than you. Yes,
yeah,
currently, yes,
yeah.
they do. Let's see if it's the same next week. Because if we sign all we need is a striker. Once you have a striker, then I think that's a different conversation. But we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, do you think, Bulky, that before the Liverpool game we're gonna see just the one signing, or do you think we're gonna see more than one before the Liverpool game?
Well, it takes about a week to work on a transfer, doesn't it? So I would say probably one, but we should be hopeful for that. You're hoping that they can get a couple over the line, but as I say, we're just so stop and start with transfers that if we get a striker in, I think that's a good thing. And then it gives us 2 weeks, as you say, to get another striker if Isak is going and that midfielder that we need. Then if we do that and they're all good signings, it's not been a bad win.
Okay. Big up Stephen in the
Big up,
building. Said
Stephen.
the game being played on a bank holiday when most people have work next day. More skullduggery by Premier League and Sky. I
Bloody
agree.
Sky.
Kim Cam, we will have 3 more signings. 3?
I agree. I agree.
By
Okay.
the Liverpool game.
Oh
Not
no! By the end of the window.
okay. But yeah, after Ramsey, Wissett, and 2 players. Okay, fair enough. So, all right, here's my question. Smash the likes, people, by the way. We appreciate those in the chat as well, the silent listeners as well, and that. We appreciate that. Okay, before we ask my last question, Jay said, how do you feel with no striker getting Real Madrid and another few in the Champions League draw at the end of August? Well, I think we will have a striker in by then. But Real Madrid... We'll talk about the Real Madrid the Champions League draw probably shortly before it's made and stuff, and obviously when it's made, we'll review that as well.
Be sure to join us when we do.
Yeah. Just the last question before I go, and this is a question to the chat as well. So, if given what we signed, and I'm saying that we got Viscera as well, Bulky, I put this to you. Who would be your ideal starting 11?
With only Visser, or we're saying Isak staying?
Let's do it with Isak staying.
Goalkeepers, I think there's a fag packer between the two of them. I think I'd probably go for Ramsdale. I think just on his distribution.
Okay.
Right back, you're talking Tino. Left back, you're talking Paul. I think if as we go through the season, if they both fit, Chow and Botman at the back as the centre backs.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get another midfielder, then J7, Tonali and Bruno in midfield. Then Isak, Gordon, and Elanga as the top 3.
Okay. Jefferson, anything different from yourself?
I would go probably a 4-4-1-1. And I would probably have Barnes on the left, and I would play Visser behind Isak.
Okay. I'd probably go for the trusted 4-3-3, same backline. Midfield, yeah, I'd probably take the same 3 because they are the strongest midfield. And yeah, probably same as you, Bulky. Well, no, I'd say Elanga, Isak, or obviously Visser, and then Barnes. I'd probably take Barnes on the left as well, which would be interesting. But listen, it's going to be interesting. We're added to the squad depth. Last question, Bulky. If we sign Visser, keep Isak, and sign another midfielder, how much would you rate our transfer window out of 10? Considering where we came from with all the rejections and stuff like that. So how much would you rate our midfield out of 10? Our transfer window, sorry.
Why do you have to say that?
I know.
We got slapped about earlier, man.
I can't answer this because I'm going to get slapped. I would go 6. I think we have improved the squad, so you've got to say that. But the way it's been done has been absolutely. I think a lot of the issues are with Eddie staying at the end of last season. We need to move quick in the transfer window. I think that put a lot of pressure on us. And then obviously we're not having the right people in place. I think the first thing we need to do once this transfer window closes is get the team in place, get a director of a CEO, a director of football in place.
Which has not happened yet. I don't know what's going on with that. I think these people are bounced.
Hasn't Andy Howe sort of been not sacked, but
there's mixed reports,
he's
isn't it?
been pushed to the side, isn't he? And incidentally, we've made 2 very
but the thing
close
is,
signings, isn't it?
But the thing is, Ben Jacobs came out today and said Andy Howe was the one who negotiated the Ramsey signing. Like he was instrumental in it. So there's some reports saying he's been pushed to the side. Some saying otherwise. I don't know. But what do you say you'd give it out of 10, Bulky?
6.
6. Okay. I see Olivia said 6.5. Okay. Jefferson?
So just to clarify, this is Isak going, We get the 2 replacement strikers at least.
Or Isak staying and we get Visser.
God. I would go out on a whim and say 7,
Okay.
because knowing that you got Isak there, that guarantees goals. Obviously, we're gonna have to take weeks to get out of like the mental headache that it is, but once we get rolling, we'll be all right.
Okay. Big up, Cav in the building. Red Pitch podcast. Check out their content, him and Scants.
Yes,
Very
it's
good
good
content.
stuff, man.
Yeah, man. He said the mad thing is, I think you actually beat Liverpool. Crowd will pull you through that. Listen,
You hear that, Scants? You hear that?
if that happens, Scants is never hearing the end of it. I tell you that for free. Yeah. Steven says DOFEH director of football Eddie Howe. Fair enough. But like two lads said,
Is
smash the like.
PDK still here?
I don't
If
know.
PDK still here, what's the score between Eddie and the club? Because I remember you said Eddie
Oh
Eddie and
yeah.
family were 2-0 up, right?
But yeah, like two lads says, smash the like, hit the subscribe button. You know what I mean? Get the numbers up, spread the word for us and that. Kim Cam said, we do not know the truth about Andy Howe. It's all rumours, but some reports say he's excellent and talented. We cannot judge. Interesting.
Fair play.
Okay. Adrian said,
I think
for
it's Eddie
TC.
spread them rumours is the only problem.
Yeah. For Tessie, Vissa, and Pavlidis, and I'm happy.
Fratesi, just to quickly touch, obviously those links came out of the blue. Was it yesterday or today?
Today,
Has anyone actually seen? Because obviously I watched Inter play in the Champions League, particularly that game against Barcelona in the semis, wasn't it? I don't really remember Fratesi. So is he actually a good player? What's his profile? Would he fit in with us? Is he what we're looking for? Does anybody know him?
This is where I need to chat to Double D because he's an Inter fan and
Right.
he follows European football, so I can get the lowdown on him for the next show and see where we go from there. PDK did say he said Director of Football FC 2, Eddie Howe FC 0.
Okay.
Jay say Newcastle 4, Liverpool 3. Listen, I still have nightmares about 4-3. Yeah, like I said, that's one of the only times that Newcastle or football has made me cry. Yeah, that first 4-3, bro. Listen, couldn't.
Could you see Eddie doing that Kevin Keegan pose, just sort of like
Kevin
leaning
Keegan
over,
hands
like
his head. Listen, I can tell that commentary. I can word for word. They're all Barnes Russ, Collymore closing in. Liverpool leading stoppage time. Eddie Howe hangs his head. Listen, all of that. But Kim Can said Fratesi is a very talented player. Interesting.
That's positive.
Yeah. Oh, score correction from PDK. Director of football, Neil Eddie Howe FC 2.
Still leading 2.
Yeah, you have to have somebody to be director of football before they can score, don't you?
He's shadowboxing, isn't he? He's shadowboxing.
But listen, we're gonna have to call it a night. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed today. Thank you all for listening. The comments, keep liking, smashing the like button, spread the word about 90's Mags. You know, we're back in full effect. The season's underway, so we'll be here on a regular basis, and obviously once Europe start, regularly twice a week.
D-Man TV.
D-Man TV, check
and
them out.
NUFC Talk TV.
Yeah,
and RCM, our partners.
Yeah,
hit them up, guys. Hit them up.
Yeah, and big up Bulky for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for the invite. It's been lovely.
Yeah, and yeah, listen. Until next time, we're out. Peace.